Hi, everyone. Welcome to another TGN Live event where the stethoscope meets the suitcase, and every event is a journey into the heart of travel healthcare. I'm your host, Rachel Altum, the online community manager for the Gypsy Nurse, and together we're about to explore the exciting world where healthcare and adventure intersects. Today, we're diving even deeper into the world of travel healthcare with our friends from AMN. But before we get started, let's take a moment and check out the Gypsy Nurse's benefits for travelers. TGN is a one-stop shop resource for travel healthcare workers. You can plan your next assignment with our downloadable Travel Nurse Guide, find your next assignment with our job board, find a place to stay from our housing partner, Furnish Finder, and there's so much more you can unlock at thegypsynurse.com. From insightful interviews with industry experts like AMN to in-depth discussions on healthcare trends, our platform is a valuable resource for both seasoned professionals, and for those considering a career on the move. You can listen to this session and others on demand on thegypsynurse.com. Not only are we the largest online community, but we also hold the largest in-person travel healthcare conference in Las Vegas every year. You can meet up with other travelers, get CEs at a great price, and learn more about the travel health 22nd through the 25th, 2024. Super early bird tickets are now on sale for $379 until the end of the year. This is the best deal you get, so don't miss out on the event of the year for travelers. Go on over to travelnurse or travcon.org to learn more and get your tickets. Now let's get ready for an engaging discussion that will not only inspire you, but also provide valuable insight into life as a travel nurse, building your travel nurse career, and the different career opportunities available at AMN Nurse. So please welcome AMN Saundra Field, Patrice Barish, and Ann King. Let me bring these ladies up. We're going to have some great sessions today. Hi, ladies. Thank you so much.
Thanks for having us again, Rachel. We're so excited. We're always so excited to come back and spend a little bit of time with the Gypsy community. So thanks for inviting us.
Definitely. I'll let you guys take it away.
All right. Thank you. Well, hello and welcome again. As Rachel said, my name is Saundra, and I have the lovely Ann as well as Miss Patrice on with me. I'm going to have them introduce themselves a little bit because they are a unique group, which I'm very excited about. But Ann, can you tell us who you are?
Yes, my name's Ann. I am a NICU nurse. I've been traveling for the past 4 years, exclusively with AMN because you guys are awesome. And I'm just excited to be here again.
I love it. We're so excited to have you again. And I know there's a few stories you're going to share with the Gypsy community that I'm so excited about. So welcome, welcome. And Miss Patrice, tell us a little bit about who you are.
Hi, everybody. So I am Patrice Barish. I'm the Senior Director for Clinician Experience. So my role here is to support caregivers. I am one of you. I graduated from nursing school over 40 years ago. And while I haven't been at the bedside in a very long time, once a caregiver, always a caregiver. And I'm happy to be here to support you in good times and in not so good times and anything you need. I'm happy to have a quick chat or a long session, whatever happens to float your boat.
I love it. Once a nurse, always a nurse, as Patrice always tells us. And she definitely gives us lots and lots of care at AMN, both internally and externally with all of you. So yeah, I've been here before. And if you've been here with me before, you know, I cannot start any live event without first just thanking all of you, all of our wonderful travelers, whether you travel with AMN or a different travel company. We're just so thankful for you, for the sacrifices that you make, taking time away from your family, or just going out there and exploring and really taking the leap for adventure. We're so thankful for all that you do day in and day out. If you're not traveling yet, hopefully this conversation we're going to have today will get you excited about what the new year holds for you. But we'll go ahead and kind of jump in. So with it being the holidays, there's a lot of feelings and things that come up. So we're going to talk a little bit about what that holiday support looks like. Before I jump into the content, though, I have a pretty awesome giveaway. So the first 3 questions that I get in the chat, I'm watching the chat right now. So first 3 questions to me will receive get ready. It's a pretty extensive list. A Roku streaming stick, which is great for when you are traveling across the country, right? You have to be able to continue watching your shows. A Keurig mini, coffee is critical. A watch fob, which I didn't understand what this was, but it seems pretty helpful. It's a little watch that you can attach to maybe your badge or your scrubs. A travel planner. Most of my clinicians, my nurses out there are big planners, so it's nice to have that, someplace to write that down. And then a mini Polaroid camera. So how awesome is that? Again, first 3 people who can throw their question in the chat will receive all of those things. So pretty good gifts, right? Anne, Patrice?
Yes, I want one.
Let's get Anne one over there. Let's send one her way. All right. So where I wanted to jump in first was just the time of year, right? It's already the middle of December, which is mind-boggling to me. And I can't believe all of the holidays are upon us. We're in the Hanukkah season right now. We're coming up to Christmas and the new year. And this can definitely bring up a lot of feelings and emotions. And oftentimes you are asked to work during this time of year, which can sometimes be difficult. And I know that you talked about kind of always working the holidays for your career. Tell us a little bit about that.
I don't know. I feel like I have the best job ever. I deal with babies. So, bringing a baby into the world around Christmas is double the gift, I feel like. So, that's super, super exciting. But I don't have my own family, but it's okay. So I don't have little kids running around, and I always thought I would rather work for my colleagues on Christmas so I could have off the fun holiday New Year's. So we would always swap, but I don't know. I just always liked working Christmas. It was fun to be in the hospital. It's beautiful. And, everyone seems to be pretty pleasant. So
yeah, I think what's so great too is that not everybody wants to, I don't think there's anybody that maybe wants to be in the hospital as a patient during that time of year. And it can feel really lonely if you don't have that kind of emotional support, and where a lot of patients look to is all of you as nurses to really be that person for them, to show them that love and care. And then there's sometimes, Anne, I know that you have a really great story. Sometimes you actually are excited to be at the hospital. Maybe you're having a baby at Christmas, or, maybe there is something that's happening where you have to be there during that time. But Anne, I know you shared a story about one of your patients. Would love for you to share that with the community here.
Yes. Oh my gosh, this is probably my favorite story. I meet a lot of lovely families, little babies, but it was actually my first year as a NICU nurse. I started in February of 2011. So this was December 25th. A little tiny 24-weeker was born on Christmas, and I took care of that baby an awful lot. And little did I know, I made a huge impact on that family. I am still friends with them today. I actually texted her before this to let her know that I might be sharing a little bit about her sweet little girl, and she was very, very excited. So I'm allowed to share some details. I have
Perfect.
But that at 24 weeks, if you're not familiar with small babies, it's a long journey. You're usually in the NICU 100 days. It's usually something that's celebrated, which is not fun. But one thing I never knew happened until I actually went to go visit her after she was discharged. And she loved me from the moment they wheeled her in on her bed, because I was singing Jingle Bells in an elf microphone. And she thought, if they can have fun in this, what she thought was the worst terrifying unit ever, then it must not be as bad as what I thought. So as silly as that might sound, it actually impacted this mom in a very positive way. And thankfully, Miss Callie has been a miracle child. She is wonderful. She is just thriving, and she's going to be 12 years old. And I just can't,
oh my gosh,
I can't believe it. Like it's pretty incredible. So yeah,
that is so amazing.
That's why Christmas is always good for me, because I have that memory that I think of every year, because it was my first year in NICU. So
yeah, and I love that. And so much of what you're saying, Anne, is why we appreciate you all being out there, right? And I know at that point you weren't a traveler yet, but still making that impact. And every patient that you touch has such a memory or, connection to you for maybe not your entire life, but definitely for theirs. And I love that you all stay in contact. Such a great story. I wanted us to make sure that we shared that as we get going. I am still looking for questions in the chat. So first 3 people will get that awesome package that I talked about with the Keurig and the watch fob and the travel planner and all of that good stuff. So please ask our wonderful panel here the questions that you have. I'm going to go back to this holiday support piece because sometimes, again, this can be a rough time for us. We all have emotion around the holiday season. Typically, it's a time period where we have a lot of joy and we celebrate the previous year, but it can also be a time of loss or remembering loss and potentially being in a hospital setting. We know a lot of times with our travelers too, it can be emotional to be away from family. Maybe you're not like Anne, where you love to work that holiday and you're happy to take it on so that you can take the fun holiday off at New Year's. We obviously need to ask Anne what fun things she's doing. She's got the list. But it can be hard to say, I'm okay with being away from my family. And Patrice, I think this is where we at AMN really try to step in to support our external team members or all of our clinicians that are out there. Can you talk to us a little bit about just what that looks like during the holidays, but then really outside of that as well?
Yeah, so totally. So first of all, I can't get the jingle bells and the elf microphone out of my head. I think we should have a giveaway with an elf microphone. I'm just putting that out there. Okay. Totally. But I think it's a good point for what our caregivers do, right? When they walk in, I think during the holidays, your impact and our travelers' impact is tenfold what it is on another day, right? Because it generally, other than moms, right, labor and delivery, if you're in the hospital over the holidays, you are not well enough to be home, right? So there's something significant going on in your healthcare if you're the patient, which also means that affects families and everybody. And I remember going into the hospital on holidays, which meant that I had to schedule my holiday with my family on another day, right? So that I could go and spend my holiday with my hospital family, which were my patients and my coworkers, Anne. And I know you feel the same way. And, even if you're grumpy driving in, 10 minutes there, just being and understanding the impact you have and how thankful and doubly and triply thankful the patients and the families are for you being there to support. But that also can take a load on you, right, Anne? So having that other side where our AMN clinical team and the clinician experience team and the crisis team is here. First of all, we're here 24/7. There's always a voice at the other end of the phone from our clinical team. Both Saundra and I have taken those calls. We've covered those calls, and sometimes it is just a voice in the dark because you're feeling a little emotional, and that's okay. And sometimes there's really something significant going on your unit or in your personal life that you need that clinical support. So we have that 24/7 support all through the holidays. We never close the doors. There's always, if your recruiter or their leader isn't here, there's somebody else that can problem solve, right? Because business still goes on. Paychecks need to still go out, right? All of those things. So we're here again to support you in your daily business in those dark hours after 5:00 in the afternoon, right? Business is closed, but life goes on for our travelers on a 12-hour schedule. So I think that is something unique to AMN. I also want to make sure that we all talk about, and I know we'll probably come back to this later, is some of our other support, right? We have an employee assistance program for our clinicians. Yeah. We have a hardship fund, right? It's a grant for our clinicians. Anything that we have for our internal team members, we also have for our external team members. We have all of the same benefits, internal and external. Once you're in the AMN family, you are in the AMN family.
Yeah, we'll adopt you, Anne.
Yeah.
You are ours forever. And that could be taking an assignment with us as a lifer like Anne does, or, traveling. We understand that there's different motivations for traveling, and sometimes finance is the number one thing, or maybe there's a specific location that you have to be in for the time of year, whether it's the holiday season or maybe it's summertime, a place you've always wanted to travel to. But we want to be that team for you, regardless of maybe where you're sitting, right? What does that look like as part of your career? And I know we talked about this previously, but just getting into this travel world can sometimes be a little bit crazy. But tell us a little bit about your journey to become a NICU nurse, because I think that's a pretty fun story. But then deciding that you're going to take the jump and become a traveler too, because that's an element of trust.
Yeah. So the NICU story is kind of funny. I had no idea what a NICU was in school. I never experienced that. I thought it was like a neuro unit. I had no idea. So right out of school, I worked at a very small community hospital. They did a lot of like outreach. So I volunteered to work a women's health fair, and I was doing blood pressure screenings. So not only did I make the local newspaper, but
big deal.
big deal, right? In a small town. But I took the blood pressure of what came to be the manager of the NICU. And right then and there, she was like, please come work for me. So I was like, maybe this is my sign. I looked into it. This was probably in November, I would say. And then, like I said, I've been a NICU nurse since February. So things just fell into place, and I ended up finding my lifelong career.
I love it. And we're so thankful for you. Every time I have Anne in one of these conversations, live conversations, I always say, if I had the misfortune of having a NICU baby, I would feel so, so grateful that I had someone like Anne, or probably many of you that I have not had conversations with, in that place and taking care of the most precious thing to me in the entire world, which is my babies. So just thank you again, Anne. But it doesn't surprise me. Patrice and I were saying this earlier, just the energy that you put out and your exuberance, and the fact that you were in an elf singing into an elf microphone just speaks to that. So not a surprise.
It did get me in trouble one time, though. I'm not gonna lie. I have a video in an archive, and I hope my friend is watching this, because we both got in a lot of trouble, but I still love it, and it made people smile. So
it did, and we all need that moment.
yes.
I love it. Well, I'm still waiting for questions in the chat. Don't be shy. You have such a great panel here. Anne will answer anything. She's great and has a wealth of knowledge for you. She's been traveling for quite some time. And we talked about this previously, but you were a pre-COVID traveler.
Yes,
Yeah.
I was.
Yeah.
I started traveling in November of 2019, and I thought COVID was a joke. I remember riding my bicycle in San Diego being like, whatever, I'm not buying toilet paper. And then, yep, I ran out of toilet paper. So it became reality. And here we are. But I think we're on the other side of things almost.
Yeah.
So, things will hopefully kind of get back to normal. But I don't know. I think maybe we still have a little bit to go.
Yeah, I think we're figuring out things in a good way, right? I think COVID brought up some good changes and some good challenges. It's made us look at healthcare a little bit differently. It's also a little bit scary, right? Patrice, I think we've had conversations recently. I'm sure what all of you are hearing out there as we enter this now new market that's reset, and we feel like we're back at a place where, okay, things are a little bit more normal or normalized, or at least, to your point, kind of almost there, right? We feel like they're at that point. There's new challenges. There's a lot of burnout that's occurred. There's a lot of nurses who maybe were on the brink of retirement that after COVID were like, I just am ready to move on. And I think that's where, Patrice, we talk about this a lot, and I would love for you to add in here. How do we bring in our early and career nurses as who are just looking and really excited about the prospect of being a nurse, and what that means for them, learning the difference between a neuro ICU and a NICU, for example, and finding their passion in the place they want to be. I would think the same. But we also want to be there for you as more of a career counselor in that recruiter relationship. So Patrice, talk to us a little bit more about what that looks like at AMN.
Yeah, so thank you for even setting it up that way. So I think there's a couple of things. One, as a baby boomer, I know you can't tell that, but I am. I
You're
think
so
I'm
wrong,
so
Patrice. Yeah, I would never.
I'm so excited to hand off all of this to the next generations, right, of caregivers. And when I think about the changes in all of the right ways that these next generations, and frankly, the pandemic has brought up, right? It has brought up a lot of holes that need to be looked at in a different way, right? The lens is different post-pandemic. And certainly during 2023 and what I will call the pandemic hangover, right? It has hung over our industry. So what I think of is a couple of things. One, I work very closely with quite a few big teaching institutions. And the big teaching institutions are highly engaged in looking at things differently. Whether it's coming to AMN and saying, you know what, we have a lot of new grads, we need your help. We need you to set up a preceptor program for us, right? Think about that, because the baby boomers who were the preceptors and the nursing professors and the nurse managers and all of those leaders exited the hospitals during COVID at the end, right? So what does that look like? We know we need to lean into our early in career to make sure that they feel supported, right? So we have a very big East Coast hospital system that set up an early in career new grad program, which we helped with to get those new grads just that little more, not quite an internship, but that one-on-one on a unit, right? And also not just for med surge, but they took those med surge new grads and we put them in telemetry. We taught them, took them up that next kind of level, right? Which is huge.
Yeah.
Which is huge. So I think that early in career is only for a hot minute. You're early in career for a year, 2 years max, right?
Yeah.
And like Ann said, she started in med surge. But what she had internally, somebody recognized and said, you know what, I want to put you in the NICU. So the hospitals are looking at that. The hospitals are definitely interested, and AMN is here to support that. And we're standing up programs, nationwide as the hospitals are saying, well, we need help.
Yeah. And I think what they're looking for, right, is that holistic workforce. And what does that mean? How do I have a float pool, or how do I look at leadership a little bit differently? And I think we even had a conversation about this on our last discussion about there are spots that are missing, right, as you travel. I do think it's and if you don't mind sharing that story just a little bit here, it's important to know that this is happening kind of all over the place, and where travel really helps continue that career growth is by putting you into sometimes these potentially uncomfortable environments, but where you are problem solving differently. And sometimes you're the one that's coming in and filling that gap. And I think, Anne, you talked about that a little bit on this current assignment, but then on others as well.
Yeah, I mean, it's like as a travel nurse, people look at you as an experienced nurse. So there's like so many different things because of COVID that happened. I know that I had coming into this, sorry to like backpedal a little bit, but
No.
I had 8 years experience, but I struggled finding a job because no one wanted to take a first time traveler. So even though my experience was 8 years, they were like, but you haven't traveled yet. Fast forward pandemic, there were nurses that have been a nurse for a year and they're now in the travel world. So you have those nurses, and then you have nurses, we'll say like me, that have the experience, and a little bit of travel experience under my belt. But, everyone still looks at us as the experienced nurse coming in, and like they bring us in sometimes to fix a unit, and to help and to train their nurses, because the new nurses out there, they didn't have the clinicals during the pandemic. So it's hard because I feel comfortable, like I'm confident in what I know, and I'm one that'll run right up and do that. But then you have these new travelers that, only have like a year or two under their belt, and it's a lot of pressure. So I can understand how those nurses will feel that pressure and need the help. So I'm really thankful that you have AMN has the setup to allow those clinicians to seek out help, because I can see how that can be a lot of a lot of pressure. And, my experience in the hospital that I'm at now, it's a huge leadership change. And, I'm working right now to like finish up an onboarding process for new hires and even the travelers.
Right.
So
Right.
that's not something that I would do. I'm just
normally do it all. Yeah.
Right. So,
But, to have that advantage and to add to your resume, right? That's another thing, right? In traveling. And yes, we have the mentorship. We have free CEUs. If you don't know that, you're part of AMN's, family. We have free CEUs, but we also have the support. Our clinical team, everyone, most of our clinical team has been travelers. And they've all been in a leadership position at a hospital. And that is one of the job requirements, because we want to make sure that they're as qualified as our travelers, right? To make sure that they can support you, they understand your experience, and they've basically been in your shoes. So that mentorship of the clinical manager that is assigned to your specific hospital, not just a hospital, but they know everything about your unit at your hospital, right? So it is a much more pinpointed support, I think, is also something to add.
I think so too. And so much great dialogue around just what does that look like? I think, Anne, to your point, you are one that has that experience that you can jump in and have that career growth in a different way. But for those who are feeling like, gosh, I'm not really in this place, I don't feel comfortable making this type of a decision, being able to go to Patrice's point, a clinical manager who is directly tied to your hospital, directly tied to your unit, help walk you through some of that, gives a sense of peace, I think, to know. And if you're ever in that position, you can still call your clinical manager as well. But I think it's important to hear that there's support in a lot of different ways, that you're not just out there floundering. And if you ever feel that way, there's a multitude of people who are able to support. I will say, like just yesterday, we learned that Anne was having a little bit of an issue. Her recruiter was trying to help her, and Patrice jumped in to help resolve that. So,
and I can't say, sorry to interrupt, but I can't say thank you enough. Like I've been doing this for over 4 years, and I forget that you guys are on my side sometimes. Not that you haven't ever been, but like, you're in the trenches, like doing your job, being like, why does no one listen to me? Why isn't, and then, I'm just so thankful that that conversation happened yesterday. And thank you so much. Like, I'm blown away by the support from you. So thank you.
No, but that's what we do. And I think that is one of the differentiators, frankly, when I came back into the work world, why I chose AMN was the clinical team was a differentiator for me. I didn't know that much about travel nursing, but what I thought about was myself and my daughter at 2 a.m. standing in a unit, right, where I wouldn't have known what the decision was. You're, staff that you don't know that well, who is in my corner? And I knew that AMN had that 24/7, very experienced support. And that, frankly, was one of the main reasons I chose to come here 10 years ago. So, yeah. Absolutely. We're here for
why I'm still here.
I love it. That's why everybody should come join us, right? We're here for you.
Me too.
I think the other part that is changing for us, and that is exciting for us as well, is that AMN as a whole has always been a total talent solutions company. We are now a very tech-centric total talent solutions company, and that looks different for all of you as our clinicians. So as someone who travels with us, you can start your career maybe as a travel nurse, but in previous conversations that we've had with Anne by chance have been, we know that there's this element of burnout that happens. So how great would it be if you just had the same recruiter say, you know what, Anne, let's take a little bit of a break. I know we still need to make some money to cover our bills and all of those normal parts of life. Let's pick up a per diem assignment. Looks like there's, these local assignments close to you. Pick up a few shifts, and then when you're ready, we can get back to travel. If Anne, in our example, right, then says, I think I'm ready. I found the perfect person, or maybe I just want to start a family by myself, whatever she decides to do. And decides that, traveling isn't the fit for me. I'd like to maybe look into a full-time role. How great would it be to work with the same recruiter to help you do that? And then maybe Anne, with all of her experience that we've heard she has as she's going in and creating onboarding and bringing on these new travel and also just perm team members, to her hospitals. Maybe she wants to be in leadership. We can help her find that position and be set up in a leadership type role, not just travel. So I want to make that kind of loud and clear here, is that we can support you throughout your entire journey. It doesn't just have to be travel. It doesn't just have to be a per diem assignment. Whatever that looks like for you, we're here to support you. Patrice, would you add anything to that?
No, I think you hit it on the head. And I think at any time for any of us who've been in the work world, right, there, we do need to be flexible, right? Whether it's, I got one going to college and I have a full-time job, but I want to work some per diem hours, right? And I want to, or I want to work per diem at that prestigious hospital to add to my resume. Or, we just got relocated and I need a job across the country. So all of those things that I get to pick up the phone and say, hey, Saundra, I need your help. Things are changing. Here's what's going on. And you're my partner in helping me, because it takes something off of my plate. You know me, you know my family, you know my needs, you know my wants. And then we do it together. And I think that having that trusted partner in any of those life decisions is night and day.
Totally. And I think, Anne, you've talked about this before with your relationship with your previous recruiter, your current recruiter, but just having that person that's got your back and knows you, right? Because our goal as recruiters at AMN is to understand who you are and what your motivations are, so that we can give you recommendations and really be that career counselor, career support, so that you can make the best decision possible for yourself. And I've said this in previous lives, I'll say it again here. Just if you don't travel with us, that doesn't mean that we don't want to have a conversation with you. We would love to help you understand what else is out there, disseminate a lot of the confusing verbiage and things that people talk about in the travel world, because we're all different and we all structure packages different. We all have different support systems that we offer. So our goal is to, of course, tell you all the things that we have, but help you work through some of those other pieces. And anything that you would add to just that comment on recruiter relationship? Or
no, it's nice to even be like a part of this transition. I know that it's elements of this have always been there, but I don't know about that because I'm still learning. I go and do my nursing job, but I don't know the ins and outs of what AMN has to offer. So, I benefit from these lives as well because I learn a lot. But it's exciting because there are times that I feel like maybe I need to just fall back on a per diem and look at something different to occupy my time. So it's nice to be able to have those conversations with a company that I trust. And that's huge. Like that's one of the most important things to me. And I think I've said that numerous times. Like there's a lot of competition out there and sometimes the money may be different, but the relationship and the trust that I have with AMN is what has kept me here and sitting right here with you guys. So
totally.
Yeah.
Totally.
I love that, Anne. And I think that's another important message for all of our participants of Gypsy and anybody who's on the message boards or listening to this live. If you don't feel like you've got that great relationship with your recruiter, it's okay to ask for a different one too. So I think building that relationship, knowing who you feel comfortable with, who you trust, we want you to have that throughout your career, not just a split moment in time. So Anne has had a few really great recruiters that she just absolutely loves. But if you don't feel like you're quite getting that relationship, it's okay to ask for a different one. And Patrice, I know that as a director of our recruitment teams, you've had some of those requests before.
Absolutely. And I think not all of us are going to hit it off, right? So I think about even, I was flying this week and I was, which is not nursing, but I was watching how different people get on and off airplanes. So I was in New York, right? And that plane, people deplane that plane what felt like a matter of seconds. Like, Anne's gonna laugh. And then I was in, Texas, and the pace was different, right? So I think that is just how life is in general. We're going to hit it off with somebody. We're going to have a different trust level with somebody. But the one thing that has always rung true for me as a leader at AMN is my job is to take care of my recruiter, so my recruiter can take care of our travelers, period. Because that is what is important, is making sure our clients have the best care for their patients. everything that we do here at AMN, and I know Saundra and I feel that I have goosebumps even as I say it. That is our goal, is to make sure that we have the best care for our patients, whether it's on the East Coast or the West Coast or in the snow of Minnesota right now, right? And that may mean having a different personality helping you. Because certainly, an OR nurse, right, is going to be very scheduled because when they're in and out. So we have to have a recruiter that can meet that. A NICU nurse, I've been told when I have some conversations, I get my NICU voice in. So I think we need to make sure that we're meeting everybody where they are to help them go where they need to go.
Totally. Anna's cracking up there.
The plane analogy is so relevant right now because I just flew cross country from California back to Pennsylvania, and my layover was in Texas. So I'm like right there with you, and I'm just sitting there like I'm just gonna keep my headphones on until there's 3 rows left in front of me because it's gonna be a minute.
Gonna be a minute.
And there is nothing wrong with that. It is just different. And I think we all understand that, right? And we do have a few great comments. Just I have to read out. Steve, just great session. Thanks for doing this. You're absolutely welcome. We love doing this. Suzanne, beautiful story. Anne, I think it's Katya. I'm sorry if I butchered your name. Thank you for sharing your experiences, knowledge, and guidances. It benefits our community. That is what we are all about, is helping the community. We want you all to feel supported so that you can go out there, to Patrice's point, and take care of the thing that we all are here for, which is our patients, whether we're that patient, which I have been in numerous situations where I've had travelers take care of me and my family, being in postpartum units with new babies. And I'm so thankful. I'm pretty sure that all of my postpartum nurses, when I had my most recent son back in March, were all travel nurses. And I cannot thank them enough. I had a C-section. It was totally different for me this go around. I couldn't move. My first, and you would probably laugh at this, and Patrice, you've had babies, but my very first postpartum nurse after surgery changed all of the diapers. I didn't have to deal with any of the meconium diapers. I was so thankful. I was by myself, not because my husband didn't want to be there, but because we have another little one that he had to be at home with. So it seems so silly, but that will stick with me forever. That nurse took care of my teeny tiny little baby and managed just something that was very simple. But thank you, all of you out there.
And go ahead, Anne.
I was just going to say, God bless the postpartum nurses. They are the most hardworking, hustle, kind souls I've ever met in my life.
Yes. Yes, God bless them.
But I think to all what you said. So I was a patient, and I had travel nurses at a highly critical time in my personal life that I kept in touch with, and have all advanced their careers since then. Right, I was in a cardiac care unit, and I'm telling you, right, I depended on them for my life. So yes, but I will probably connect with all of you when I say I remember patients from day one of my nursing career. I remember my first AIDS patient, right? I remember my first mom that I lost to breast cancer. They live with me. They're in my heart. They never go away. And that's why we all got into what we do, right? And it's hard, and there's tough days, and we have to go in and take care of those patients. And we may have things in our personal lives going on, right? And how do we balance all of that? I come to an office now, and it's easier than when I went into the unit, because I can close a door here, and nobody bothers me. In the hospital, it's not about me, it's about the patients, right? So I think this community and supporting each other, it's different. It is different. And we need to own that and admit it and have services for that, right? Whether it's the wellness checks, whether it's making sure our clinical team, I know, connects with all of our travelers, the EAP, the caring for caregivers. We now have Schwartz rounds, right, Saundra? Yep. And if everybody doesn't know what Schwartz rounds is, it's a forum in which our travelers can come to share heartfelt stories and community on situations that they've experienced, that the audience has also experienced, so that you have that sense of community. It's not just you, right? I wish I had had that when I lost my first, my mom to the breast cancer with 2 little kids. I still have her face, because I probably would have not gotten over it, but been able to deal with it in a different way, right? So AMN has that, and I'm proud to be part of it.
Yeah. And I think that's amazing and such a great thing to bring up with the Schwartz rounds. And we know that as travelers, you're not looked at all the time, of course, as perm staff. And there might be some things that maybe you're not eligible for, or you're not able to attend. And we want to fill those gaps for you. And that's a lot of what our clinical team tries to identify is, man, can we do this, the Schwartz rounds component, so that we can share some of those stories, whether they're really positive and amazing and so cool, like Anne's story about her sweet NICU patient and mom that she still talks to this day, or the first time you lost a patient, or maybe it's not the first time, but it's the 10th time, and it doesn't get any easier. And how can I talk through some of those things in this type of an environment where I have support from my community, or in a personal counseling session, so that I can work through that and what it means for me. We all handle that in such a different way. And the fact that all of you do that on a day-to-day is incredible. And we want to be able to support you as the person that we can take care of, so that you can fill your cup up and take care of other people. And I know that you've told this story already, but it was so impactful to me about your family who came in and they had an experience in the NICU, and it was maybe their first experience. Do you want to talk a little bit about that? I just feel like it's such a great one for this community.
Oh, yeah. It kind of, when he told me, like, the end of the story that I'll get to, it really took I had no words. But it was a delivery that went poorly. Unfortunately, a lot of that was due to a language barrier and not understanding what like a C-section was compared to a normal delivery. And eventually we educated the mom enough to have the C-section, but the baby did have to come to the NICU. And I have to still to this day give props to the nurse practitioner I worked with, because she saved that baby's life, and I get chills thinking about it. But and this was recent, by the way. And the dad came into the NICU, and his wife is still in the OR being taken care of. He comes in and sees his baby, and by this point the baby had recovered very quickly within the first hour of life, and he broke. And I have seen parents at a bedside of a baby that didn't have a successful end to it, and this was emotion that I've never witnessed before. And my first instinct was, your baby's okay. So I just hurried up, swaddled the baby up because he was fine. I handed him to him, and then I just gave him a minute, to bond and to deal with what just happened. And he spent, I think, 4 days with us, went home. He's completely fine. He's a healthy baby boy. And the dad said that this was the very first hospital experience they've had in the United States. They were from East Africa. They had moved here 6 years ago. So in 6 years, they've never had to be in the hospital. They struggled to get pregnant. They didn't think they were ever going to get pregnant. They had fertility issues, and this was a surprise pregnancy that really didn't go the way that it should go. And he just thanked us for how amazing his experience was, and that, this changed his view on how he felt about hospitals in the United States. And he had the worst experience. If you think about it was the scariest time of his life, probably, but he forgot about all of that and just thanked us for helping him and giving him his healthy baby. And that's so impactful. And you don't know the patients that you're taking care of. Right. You don't know what their story is. You don't know how many times they've been in the hospital. And that just blew me away. And I've been doing this for a long time. So, it reminds you, it's almost like God works in mysterious ways. And it's almost like that's a reminder of why I'm doing what I'm doing. And, you know, when we have those times where we're like, is this right? You know, that's the reassurance that you need. And I think every nurse can probably say the same, that they have an experience where it was, yes, I'm doing the right thing. And, you know, that'll be a story I won't forget.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's such a great one for us to kind of wrap on, of just, you don't know who your patient is. And you show up every day and you give the care not knowing who the person is. And that in and of itself is so just so incredible, amazing. I don't know that there's a word to fill in there, but you give them your best and you give them all of you. So let us give you all of us too. Let us at AMN fill you back up and help you so that you can deliver that kind of care. And not everything is life and death, thank goodness. And sometimes it's just something small, but what might seem small to you for a patient coming in might be a huge deal to the person that you're taking care of. It could be their very first experience in a hospital setting. There's all kinds of things that we go through in our personal lives, and being in a hospital can sometimes be really, really scary. So just thank you. It's a great reminder, hopefully for all of you, that what you do makes an impact. It's important. We're thankful for you. Patrice, I know you want to add in there. What would you add?
Well, I have to add that my expectation of my recruiters is that they're just like you, Ann, and they're making a difference, and they know they're not going to know you on the first conversation, right? But they need to know you, right? They need to know the story behind what's going on and what your family situation is, so that in those moments, the good or the not so good, right? We know there's violence against nurses right now. We know all of that. We're very aware of it. Our organization is on Capitol Hill, fighting for you, right, to make sure that bills are passed to protect and all of that. So my expectation is that my recruiters are taking care of all of you, just like you take care of our patients. And mostly, Saundra, it's the thank you. I have goosebumps most every day when I talk to our clinicians, because I'm not at the bedside. And I am so blessed and honored, and I mean that right down to my toes, to work with the dedication of our team members, of our external team members who are AMN ambassadors, and all of you who are AMN, but you're still ambassadors for healthcare. And it's just, we need more of you, right? We need to keep supporting you. We need ratios to change. We need all of that to get just a little bit better. And I think it will. I think 2024 is going to be pivotal. I think 2025 will be more pivotal. I think nurses have made a stance. We've shown the need and the value of everything you do on hearts and minds and care. And AMN stands with you as an organization to make sure that we're advocating for our travelers. So
I love it, and such a great note to end on. I will just encourage you to follow us at AMN Nurse on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, all the places. Visit our website at amnhealthcare.com to see what we can offer you. It has all kinds of good stuff, from job searches and just information. You can view some of our podcasts that we do there. Yep. And then if you haven't already, download the AMN Passport app. I know Ann uses it all the time, but you can do some job shopping. You can also get connected to our community and see all of the things that we have to offer this incredible group of people that we work with. People just like you who are out there on their travel assignments. So with that, I will just thank Gypsy for inviting us back time and time again, for being such an incredible partner. Rachel, I'm sure, is popping in here too, but thank you.
Yeah, thank you guys so much. And I just want to say, people probably, when they see you, you're such a blessing, I'm sure, because every story that I've heard, I was like, oh my goodness, what a blessing. So I'm sure you touch everybody's lives everywhere you go. I can tell. Every morning I kind of wake up and I was like, how can I be a blessing to someone? And I'm just like, oh my gosh, how do I even compete with Ann? I know I have small blessings to people, but just some of those, I'm like, oh my goodness, what a blessing to everyone. And I'm sure it's a blessing to you as well, that satisfaction of helping people. But just let you know that you were such a blessing.
Thank you so much. It's so sweet. I have my days, trust me.
I will also just give Anne a little plug. She is happy to talk to other travelers too.
Yes.
Her Instagram's going to blow up now. But she's tagged in a lot of our content at AMN Nurse. And I know she's had people reach out to her to just have questions about the process. So feel free to reach out to her too.
Yeah, I'm bored in Pennsylvania, so keep me busy. Send me messages.
Well, thank you guys all so much. We love having you on. We can't wait for next year, what you have in store for us. Thank you again so much for taking the time and being a blessing to us and coming on here. So thank you guys, and enjoy your new